got a lot of static.
Let's jump back to that. Still has this showing. Well, you can simply click over here in the upper right corner and it will show them both together. In what mode? Well, that depends on what you choose here. There are so many new modes, and the default is that it will just overwrite them all over. It's like you got the measles, right? Or the chicken pox. And if you do that and then apply, let's see, if you were to blend this, actually, before I do that, I want to save either one of these. So let's undo the blend. Let's go and store this. So we have this image readily available, and then jump to the other image, this one here, and store this one as well. There you go. So we now have both of these images readily available, and if we if we mess it up, if we do something that we actually didn't want to do, we can easily get back to a starting point with the two images in a separate buffer. So let's go now and merge this together. So I have not done anything special. The dimples are showing everywhere, whether we're coming close to the dark side of the big structure, or whether we are at the very ridge on the brightest side of that. And if we apply the lighting, something like this will show here. Where is it? There, stylize lighting. There you go. So as expected, it's showing the lighting effect, and it's showing the dots all over. Okay. Perhaps a more sophisticated appearance would be to actually now go with a blending mode that's only going to show these dimples if they fall in the bright parts, but the darker the area is, the less we want to see them. Alright, and that we can easily do by changing to a different blend mode. So let's use this one. Let's jump back to the regular the other buffer. Let's see if we can erase this. Put this one in there and jump back. So we have the two, blend them together, but then right click and change the blending mode to, well, what is it? Lighter than, greater than, or less than? Probably greater than. No, wrong. Okay, I get this wrong all the time, so don't feel bad if you do too. What we'll do is, let's see, jump back to this one. Oh, I have both there, and then okay, so I have this one here and this one here, right? So I got swap buffer has this one, main buffer has that, or vice versa. Anyway, so at this time I'm going to blend it in a different way, which is to go less than. All right, okay, and now what you see is that the dimples, the holes, only show if what they produce as a pixel is less than the pixels that are already there. So therefore they only show along the brighter parts of these ridges. All right, the big structure has some bright and then goes into the dark pit holes there. Only along the top do we see those. Let's blend these together. Let's merge these and apply our lighting effect again on that. And then here you go. So now you have an effect where these holes are only showing towards the top. It's basically kind of an erosion effect that you may want to see only near the exposed parts. All right. So let's put all this together. Let's go and let's see. We create something like this one again, right? So we go to perhaps which one was it? This one here. Yeah. Let's go to this gradient and let's operate from a bright spot. Right. We erase to white, and then we will go to this one, the linear gradient tool, and operate in darker or less than mode. So we'll only show what's there. Oops, no, the other way around. See, I still get it wrong. So greater than mode, there you go, and starting in black. Okay, so now let's do a couple of these, right? A couple of bright big structures, and then a couple of small ones all over the map, all over the place here. Okay, and we still have our dimples in the other buffer, right there. We're ready to blend them together. So let's go and blend them, and again set the blend mode so that these only show into the higher areas, and we actually see that right now here. Right, the darker areas don't see any more dimples, any dots. The brighter areas do. So I mean, this is one place where you definitely will want to experiment a little bit as well. See what happens if you make it less than. See what happens if you make it greater than. There, different styles, and then always also go and apply the 3D lighting to that. So let's say this one here will probably stay with less than. Okay, it's pretty dense, by the way. There's a lot of holes there. That might be something worth adjusting a little bit. But in this case, we'll apply that, merge with swap, and then you can still do a little bit of an undo there with the interactive undo if you actually didn't intend it to be that strong. Right. Okay, and let's go and apply the lighting, filter, stylize. There's the lighting, and definitely we'll want to work with different colored light sources here. So I have a little bit of a greenish on this end, perhaps a little bit brighter, less of embossing. Something like, yeah, let's go a little bit darker first, and then add another light source, and have that light source be perhaps a slightly pink color. And get rid of the fine detail or the smoothing, so we do see the fine detail. Let's bring it down here closer. You see there's a lot of different parameters to play with, and so now we have actually this over 2 layers, and we'll probably want to blend these layers together. And here we go. So we do have a kind of a rocky looking texture. We can at that point of course apply that to perhaps a filter that will spherize it and put it into like put it on a planet for a rocky planet surface, and add some sort of a let's see, some light, bluish lights, and a little bit more reddish on this side. That's this light source here. There's some bluish, maybe a blue moon. All sorts of parameters to experiment with there too. A little bit of texture. There's some fractal noise you can add, and there you go. Alright, so now if you want to have this as the background of your space scene, you probably will need some background added around it. The black border needs to be bigger because the sphere goes all the way to the top here and touches it. So what you could do here is simply go to the image and resize it, not resample, but resize it. When you resize it, you get to choose where the border will show. If you keep the current image in the middle like this here, the border will show around it, and you just have to give it a new size. Let's say it's 800 right now. Let's give it a 1200, and it's 600 in the height. Let's give it, well, let's make it square. Let's give it 1200 as well. So we now have a picture that's 1200 by 1200. It's filled with the default secondary color, which currently is white. So what you would want to do is pick the background color here, and then go and fill it in there. So now you have this black all around it as well, and you can fit it, and there you go. So here's your planetary structure, your planet, and of course something like this you'll always want to go pick up as a custom brush, especially if you first manage to go and set the black as the background color there as well, so that the black around the planet is actually going to become transparent. So here we go, store it, and you can see it's actually very transparent. A little bit too much for my taste. Let's go back here. There, let's keep it like this, so we do have a transparent background around it, but the planet itself does not show bullet holes on it. So let's go and store that one. There you go. And the beauty of having it in a brush is that you can now easily have it a little bit smaller, put a couple of them here, have a whole series of planets in orbit there. Yeah, I don't want to live on that planet. change the rotation, change the size, change the hue, the color, all sorts of different tones that you can get from this one planet at that point. Alright, so that was a quick intro on some new techniques to work with the modes, particularly when you use the gradients, the linear gradients or the circular gradients as well. You can use those to create some fancy texture that only appear when they are brighter or darker than what's already there. So that provides a really interesting combination. Alright, this was the Daily Dose at thebest3d.com with PD Howler. Talk to you in another session really soon.